Welcome back to the Cricket Today podcast on Wednesday, February 21. We're back for a huge, wide range of cricket. So make sure you listen on wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, subscribe on our YouTube channel. I know why I said that weirdly. I'm your host, Liam McAllion, also known as the Stats Guy. I'm here with Leo Mullaly. He's a bit tired, but we're back in the studio, so you should be excited. Come on,
I'm
Leo.
not tired. I'm up and about.
Up and about.
Yeah.
Someone has to say up and about.
We've got T20 cricket tonight. How good.
How good. Yeah.
We're going to sit around and watch it together as the lads.
Are we?
I don't know.
Live stream. Hey, I'm happy to do that. We're also here with Marcus Bazzano. He's excited for some Aussie cricket, surely.
I am. We're back, 2020. A little bit of excitement, and I'm excited to face the New Zealand.
Oh, are you playing? You're gonna
I am actually.
face a few of their bowlers. That'd be pretty funny, actually. Today we're going to cover a huge preview of obviously what we just talked about, New Zealand versus Australia T20 series. Also got a signature nah about a famous Aussie batsman. Then I got a great interview with about world cricket with Code Sports journalist Daniel Cherny. That was really good. Talked a bit about Bazball, a bit about India's young guns, a bit about everything. So we're excited about that one. Then we finally predict the series between who will win Australia versus New Zealand. Not just the series, we'll go a bit of a match depth into the first match as well. So let's get right into it. Marcus, are you going to start us with our nah for today?
Yeah, I certainly am. Does Steve Smith fit into the 2020 11? Nah. Does he have a role in this team?
Oh, Leo's got some big thoughts about this, I reckon.
I'm going to say no, because his best position, in my opinion, is opening. And with Head and Warner ahead of him, that he just can't fit in. You've got Marsh at 3, Maxwell at 4. It's that 5 spot that he's probably going for. And in my opinion, I'd like to see Inglis in that position. But yeah, I'm a no on that.
Yeah, I'll agree with Nah as well. I feel like I agree with Inglis. I think they're leaning towards more Stoinis or who was the other player that was going to be around that 5 spot? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I think Matt Short should be.
Short could even be in there, but they like to lean on. They like to lean on the experience. Maybe Tim David might jump in there. 6 as well. So I don't know.
Maxwell in that middle order as well.
I think we've talked about this before. I've talked about this with Daniel Cherny on an interview as well about. He's probably not that guy you want at the 5 that needs to get the motor going a bit. He's definitely a run-a-ball type player, so he's perfect for one day. He's perfect for tests, obviously one of the best test players ever. But yeah, I don't know about T20 cricket. Obviously, killed it for the Sydney Sixers.
But that was opening.
That was opening,
So,
and I don't think he's going to take Warner or Head spot, who are obviously very classy openers. Warner as well, people going, is he done? He did really well against the West Indies in the T20s, and I think he could do really well in New Zealand. So it'll be interesting to see. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think, in terms of Warner, I think he will retire after the World Cup.
Yeah, agreed.
In my opinion, but I'm gonna go nah. I don't think he does fit into the 11. I'm with you guys. I just think I'd rather see more exciting players like who can get a higher strike rate. You're looking at like Tim David, Glenn Maxwell, Aaron Hardy, who we've mentioned. I'd rather them get a go in the middle order in the short format than Steve Smith.
No. That's fair call. I reckon, spot on. Well, that's my opinion, spot on. Let us know in the comments if you think, Steve Smith should be in that T20 squad or just in the T20 11, especially for this game against New Zealand and then for the T20 World Cup coming up. Coming up now, we've got an interview with Code Sports journalist, as I mentioned, Daniel Cherny, talking a bit about Bazball, the Indian young guns, Cam Bancroft as well. Should he be back in the Aussie Test side after another ton for Western Australia and the Sheffield Shield? So let's get right into that. All right, Cricket Today here with another special segment. Finally together in the studio, I've got Daniel Cherny, Code Sports journalist with cricket, AFLW, AFL, covers the works. Thank you very much for coming on, Dan, and Cricket Today, in the studio for once, which is really good.
Nice to properly be here with you, Liam.
Yeah, it's good fun. We've got nice views here. It's a really cool setup. I'm just going to quickly ask you some questions. 3 questions of world cricket. Usually we cover mainly Aussies, but I know you like your cricket no matter what. So I'm going to start off with a bit of England and Bazball. Everyone's talking about Bazball. This is my question for you. Should England continue with Bazball, especially with out-of-form players? Joe Root, I've been very surprised the way he's played some of his shots and got it out. Do you think they should continue with Bazball the way they played in the last test, which was their worst test loss in 90 years? What do you reckon?
Look, in short, I'd say yes. I think if you look at Bazball across the couple of years and certainly where they'd come from, there's been a marked improvement in the performance. I know they haven't won a series now in a year or so, but they obviously came very close in the Ashes. They did win a test in India, only 2 tests to go.
Yep.
It's very hard to win in India anyway. Look, I think that the nature of Bazball and that approach, that ultra-aggressive approach, is that when it doesn't come off, it's going to look bad. It's going to look ridiculous.
Yeah. Like how they got absolutely smashed. Yeah.
They got smashed. You get Joe Root's, ugly dismissal. Obviously, he's at his best a very conventional and lovely player to watch. It was not, that was not a shot. His reverse scoop.
No, I don't know what he was thinking there.
And at moments like that, you think, is he trying too hard to sort of embrace that Bazball culture? But by the same token, it's been very hard for them or anyone to win India full stop.
True.
And they did take it up to India. They were in a good position. I suppose like anything, it's picking your moments and knowing when to go and when not to go. I think it'd be fair to say that in hindsight, they didn't pick their moments in that test and they let a great opportunity slip, particularly given
Ashwin. 2 for at one stage with Duckett absolutely flying. Yeah.
They were in a really strong position there. Ashwin was going to be ruled out of the match for a period of time as well for personal reasons, and they let it slip and then end up losing by an enormous margin. So, when you look at it like that, it obviously hasn't come off at all. But by the same token, they did win a test earlier in the series. It's 2-1, which I'm not sure they would have won if they weren't playing a Bazball style approach. So
true, yeah.
It's it's one of those things where I think you got to look at it holistically.
Yep.
And I think broadly speaking, it still has been a net positive for them, even though there are moments where it's going to look pretty bad.
No, that's a great answer. I reckon, if they was somehow to sneak another test, you'd go, that's a successful trip because not many people can teams can take another test off India. So I think you're spot on there. I'll talk about India now. They've got a lot of rising stars. Do you think India has the best rising stars or young crop for tests in the world? I saw another article talking about it. You got JSwal, who looked awesome. You've got Gill, who's coming through as well. And then you had Khan debuting with 250s. Jarrell was pretty solid. Just a lot of their young guys going really well at the moment. Do you reckon they're up there for the best rising stars or young guys in the world?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because I think for a while there, I was recently sort of mid last year when they lost that World Test Championship final to Australia. Thought, this is a bit of an aging Indian side.
Yeah, they've got a lot of older guys. Yeah,
guys like Pujara and Rahane, who they'd gone back to and weren't performing.
Yep.
Obviously you look at a player like Rohit Sharma's. No spring chicken from a cricket perspective. Likewise, Virat Kohli, Ashwin Jadeja. These are not young guys, Shami, but they've managed to find. Look, the thing about India, and probably shouldn't be surprised that they just keep finding players. I mean,
they do. Yeah, they got a lot to pick from. I guess.
Obviously, huge depth to pick from. The IPL has been allowed them to develop players even better. It has increased the professionalism, and then you're right. You see a guy like Jaiswal come in, sort of.
Amazing,
when you think of the depth, when you look at India and you think of the depth of play that they had that won that series on Australian soil 3 summers ago, and then you're seeing guys that weren't even on the radar then come up through the ranks, crazy. And that you find a player like that, you like the new wicket they've got, like Sarfaraz Khan who had averaging ridiculous numbers in the Ranji Trophy before finally getting selection and looking very much up to it.
He was so calm, even his first test,
100%. So. Oh, look, I think on face value, you probably would say that. I mean, look, New Zealand with Rachin Ravindra is still a very young player. You look at that O'Rourke, who just made his debut, is a very promising player. Kyle Jamieson, who's still a young enough player, but unfortunately hasn't quite, is now has injuries. So he's going to be out for a period of time. And clearly we saw a bit to like there with some of Pakistan's younger guys, the West Indies with Shamar Joseph.
Yeah, exactly. You can say just Shamar Joseph as a whole. Yeah,
is a pretty exciting prospect too. But I think as a collective at the moment, when you put it all together, I think India have as good as any.
Yep, no, I'll agree with that. The list you can go through for their depth at the moment is awesome, especially when you got Kohli out and you got guys still coming in and making 50. So that's what you want. That covers a bit of the England-India part of this. I'm going to have a look at a bit of Sheffield Shield. Cam Bancroft made another 100 yesterday. So obviously every time he's going to make 100, the talk comes back. Should he be in the test side? Should he not? Do you think his form's too hard to ignore to get it to the test squad, or still we've got to have Smithy opening at the moment? What do you reckon, Dan?
Yeah, I think it's increasingly hard to sort of another ton. He's been by far and away the leading Shield run scorer.
Yeah, easily.
Over the last few seasons. I think he had been. I mean, it's probably 2 questions here around Bancroft. It's A, should he be in the 11?
Yep.
And that's the discussion.
That's a different sort of.
The discussion is then the Smith Green revamp. And look, Cameron Green, it must be noted, also made a century in that game against Tasmania at Bell Reeve.
Yes, yeah.
And I can completely understand why they want to have Cameron Green in that side. And to be fair, Smith and Green, even in that loss at the Gabba, were Australia's 2 best batters in that run chase.
Yep.
So hard to say that it's been a complete flop early days on that front. I think probably where the real question, the harder question now, and the one that's probably more pertinent is, should Bancroft be ahead of Matt Renshaw on the pecking order?
Yep.
Renshaw had a very strong few years across all first-class cricket, county, Prime Minister's 11 Australia A, and it was very much a matter of splitting hairs between him and Bancroft in the lead up.
Yep.
But Renshaw has not been able to make a run in recent times. He's had a very lean month across all formats. He's now gone to New Zealand, or he will head to New Zealand in the coming days to be part of that Australian squad for the 2 Test series as the reserve batter. Unlikely to play.
Yeah.
But I think certainly when you look forward to next summer, and you're looking at who may potentially be the next batter in line, I think it's very much all bets are off for next summer. Like I don't think Renshaw is by far ahead of Bancroft by any stretch. I think Bancroft's very much still in that conversation. Look, Marcus Harris, who's the other one around the mark, has not had a great run of it lately either. You see Will Pukowski and Nick Madison have actually outshone him. You saw Caleb Jewell, who was a guy from Tasmania who had been thereabouts sort of probably 9 months ago, had a pretty poor Shield season to date, but then made a big
200,
big
wasn't
200
it?
down Bell Reeve. So, look, I think the truth of the matter is here that in all likelihood, it'll be the same 6 the incumbents will get their 2 tests in New Zealand, and then Australia don't play another test until next summer, till November, December. So that's 9 months away, in which time there will be
a lot of changes.
There'll be a lot, not so much changes necessarily per se for the Australian side. I think there's every chance the top 6 will remain the same for next summer to start with.
Yep.
But there'll be a lot of chances for others to entrench themselves as the next man in. And we don't know how much longer Rusman Khawaja has. Clearly, as the 37. Steve Smith's been very equivocal about his future in his mid-30s. So that's an older side. Openings will come sooner rather than later. And I certainly think that pecking order beneath the top 6 is very fluid.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. It's not a bad problem to have when we've sort of got a lot of guys in form. As you mentioned, Green did really well at Sheffield Shield. I think you talked about this the other day. It's good that he's sort of getting that red ball consistency rather than playing in some of the other tournaments. So that's really good. And it's a good spot to be for Australia still. So we're very happy about that. I think that's it with Dan. Check out Daniel Cherny on Code Sports. Some great articles at the moment and all over Twitter. As always, thanks heaps for coming on, Dan, and awesome being in the studio.
Good to be here, Liam. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get right back into the usual show. All right, welcome back to the usual show in the studio with the lads from Cricket Today. New Zealand versus Australia are coming up for this series in Wellington to start with tonight, lads. I want your match prediction for this game in the T20s. I want your man of the match and then your series predictions. I'll start with you, Leo. What do you got?
So I think Australia firstly will win this series 3-0.
Yep.
I think they'll obviously win tonight. And my man of the match prediction will be Mitch Marsh.
Ooh.
I just go back to the 2021 World Cup in the final, absolutely dominated
the Bison.
New Zealand bowling. And I would argue it was a stronger bowling attack back then.
Yep.
Weaker bowling attack here. I just like him to do it again at 3. I think he made 29 off 12 against the Windies. So he's just going to, if he gets a start and he gets himself in, I can see him going real big tonight. So he's my man of the match pick.
No, don't mind it. What about you, Marcus?
Well, I'm leaning towards an Australia win tonight, but a 2-1 in the series. New Zealand have actually played quite well in the 2020 series. They played one at the start of the year against Pakistan and won that series 4-1.
Ooh, nice.
And Pakistan are a very good short format team as well. Didn't we play them in the final of the 2020 World Cup?
They played England. They played England that was in Melbourne.
That was 2022, I think.
Yeah.
I think before that maybe. I remember playing them. They were really good. We knocked them out. But New Zealand are a very good side in themselves. But for a man of the match prediction for tonight, I'm going to go Josh Hazlewood. I just think in New Zealand conditions and pitches, I think pace bowling will have a lot to say about it. So I'm going to go Josh Hazlewood. He's just
Mr. Consistent.
Clinical, Mr. Consistent.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm going to go New Zealand, lads. I'm a bit unpatriotic with going against the Aussies here, but I think they can get a win. I really, really love, the main reason I'm picking them is just the form of Rachin Ravindra. I think he's going to be man of the match for me. I do think the Aussies can win this series 2-1, but I think Rachin Ravindra can have a really good start in this series. Coming off, I think he made a 240 against South Africa. It was South Africa's third 11 or whatever you want to call it. That was pretty average, but he was really good in the ODI World Cup. He was in the top 3 scorers. I'm not sure whereabouts he was on that list, but he was awesome. So I reckon he could make a huge score of like 140 plus. I reckon just at home.
Big call.
I don't know what. Yeah, 140, 130 in the 2020.
Is he your favourite non-Australian player?
He is at the moment.
140.
As soon as that came out of my mouth,
might not make 140.
I don't know why I've said 140. I might have to halve that, and that's a really good score in T20. Why not? Well, he's going to make 100, I reckon. So I got no idea.
Bet on it.
I'm not betting on it. I've got myself in a weird spot there. But yeah, I think New Zealand are going to start the series really well. At the Cake Tin in Wellington, they call it there. I'm not sure. You said short boundaries usually in New Zealand, but that one's a bit of a big ground.
I think, that ground's actually a decent size.
Okay.
They play A-League on
decent size for them, though? Like 50 metres?
Yeah, because some of the grounds...
Obviously, Eden Park is their largest ground, isn't it?
No, that's the smallest.
Is that the smallest?
That's tiny, yeah.
Well, my mistake then. I'll just shut up.
I don't know if we can trust this guy with the dimensions of the ground. I do agree, though. They played the Women's World Cup there. They play the A-League there. it is a bigger stadium just overall compared to some of the other like rugby grounds and things like that they play cricket at, especially Eden Park. Eden Park is definitely one of the smallest because I remember Warner and a few others literally tapped it off.
Capacity-wise,
it's a lot bigger as well.
It's the biggest.
So yeah, I think it still could be a pretty big score. Usually pretty good decks up there in Wellington. So yeah, I think we're going to have a really good match. Ravindra apparently is going to make one of the biggest scores in New Zealand history, according to me. So we'll have to see and wait on that. We've got any other things we want to talk about. You got Warner and Head, who we talked about, are going to be the openers.
Yep.
Who's out in this one?
There's going to be no Stoinis throughout this series.
Yep.
With a back injury, Wade's going to miss the start of the series as well with the birth of his third child. Congrats to Matty Wade.
Nice.
But Mitch Marsh is also basically confirmed as third.
Top three,
so
yeah.
the top three would be Warner, Head and Marsh.
Yep.
You'll see that probably throughout this series as well as the World Cup.
Yep.
In the middle of the year.
Yeah, I think that middle order is fighting for their spot, but for the T20 World Cup later in the year in June.
Yep.
But the top three, I think, is pretty much there. Especially Warner's obviously had an amazing career. Head's in the prime of his life, and yeah, same as Marsh. So yeah, don't mind that. I think that's it, lads. I've gone the New Zealanders. You guys have gone the Aussies. So I'm a bit, unpatriotic, but we'll see what happens. Rachi Ravindra's going to be awesome tonight. I'm telling you, put some money on him if you want. But that's it for the Cricket Today show. We'll be back with this on Friday. Get right around the show. Send in any questions, and I think that's it. Thank you very much, Marcus.
Yeah, cheers, lads.
Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Tats Guy.
Thanks, Joe, behind the camera, and thanks to me. That's another episode of Cricket Today done. We're out.